Hi everyone, today I'm just gonna show you how I make my own stuff, vegetarian stuff, bitter melons. This is one of my favorites, so um, I cook them probably 4 or 5 times a year, maybe. It just depending on the weather and how I feel, and depending on if they're in season or not, then I will have them. This is like the end of bitter melon season in Perth, Western Australia. So therefore, it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit pricey, but then again, I just love the soup simply because it's cold. So this is like the best time to have them. So as you remember, I think a while back, I think Dee was talking about bitter melon when we grow them. So bitter melons actually have amazing property, like the whole vine and the fruit and or even the seed, they're all edible and also medicinal. So it's commonly used to control blood sugar or for diabetic type 2. So what it does is that it stimulates the liver, because the bitterness is actually stimulate the liver to actually release the enzyme to metabolize simple carbohydrate and then just excrete it outside of the gut instead of like absorb into the bloodstream. So yeah, so it's a very useful type. I think this is like a Japanese variety one. So in Vietnam, traditionally we have this light sort of color. And believe me, this is extremely bitter compared to the mild bitterness of these. So yeah, that's enough of talking. Now let's get to work. Okay, um, here we go. What we're gonna do is that we chop the bitter melon to this side and then remove the inside of the bitter melon, so like that. And then what we do is I'm using probably 250 grams of firm tofu, like the one that you really form like firm where they don't have a lot of water in it. And what I do is that I also use what people call glass noodle. So one of these nice clear glass noodle. So probably one bunch. So they in the Asian store they sell them in like a bunch, small bunch. And what you do is that you don't let them soak the whole thing in water. The idea is for them to absorb water from the inside of the bitter melon when you cook them. And I also have like wood ear mushroom wet and then chop them to small pieces so I can mix them in a stuffing. I got nutritional yeast, so this is like 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 1 tablespoon of cell-rising flour, and also peanut powder, simply because I want this like nice creamy and salty. I don't know. I got some coriander just like topping on the top, and also some Chinese chives. We call them hair. There you go. And for garlic and that sort of thing, I'm using. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna boil and shear, if that's the word you call them, garlic, onions, and then spring onions. And then I'm gonna do is I mix part of them in the tofu mix, and the other part is just for the soup. And for the stock, I use also the 2 eggs is for the tofu and the flour to mix them together. I use wood ears like mushroom in the soup, and also some beautiful carrot flowers for the stocking. Yeah. And I also have 1 globe artichoke flower heads, which I already cut and use the whole stem in the soup because it makes the soup taste better. Simply because I love globe artichoke, because this is the season for globe artichoke, so why not use them in a soup? So let's get to it. So in the pans, what I do is that I use olive oil. And I just want to heat it up a little bit. And I'm just purely adding the big size spring onion because I want to fry them. not the garlic, because this is gonna go into the tofu mix. And when it's slightly brown, what I do is that I'm going to put them in this pot of soup where I heat them up and make them for stock. It's slightly brown, so I'm just going to pause it and put them in the soup. Just be careful, it's very hot. And make sure you dry and take all the oil out, because you need the oil for the next batch of the garlic and the onions. There we go. That one there. And the rest of them, just the garlic and the onion here. And you do it until it's brown, and then turn it off and cool it down. And then you're gonna add all the ingredient here, and then you just really need to knead them and mix them by hand. Okay, so just pause. Okay, this pot of soup is roughly around 3 liters, with the onion, the garlic or the fried onion, spring onion I pop in. So because this will take a little bit longer to cook, so I'm gonna put in the carrot. So what we do is we just, like a stew, we make them, or like a broth. So we just put everything in and leave it there. I also have some shiitake mushroom as well, so I'm going to put shiitake mushroom in here. I won't put in the globe artichoke as yet, because it's not because it cooks really fast. So this will be a slow cook. Probably 1 tablespoon of salt. A tablespoon of, no, probably a table and a half spoon of sugar. And half a spoon of mushroom powder seasoning. So this will give you this umami sort of like taste. Or in another way, you can use just like kelp, and then what you do, you put in there and you cook it, you make like a dashy soup stock, and then work from there. So now we're just gonna leave it shimmering and cook, and then we work from there. So when the brown sort of like onion and garlic sort of like cool down, I'm using the same sort of like frying pans, because I'm too lazy to put in a pot and then have to like wash them. So might as well just use them. So just pop the tofu in. So these, just make sure you get rid of some of the water, as much water as possible out of it. And you do season these as well. So probably like a quarter, no, half tablespoon, because the glass noodle and also the mushroom have no flavor in it, so I think you need to flavor them. So pop everything in. So this probably half a tablespoon of sugar, half tablespoon of mushroom flavor, sort of like seasoning, and also like half tablespoon of sugar. I'm gonna pop everything in. The nutritional yeast in. And then the flour and the peanut butter in. And then just crush it, because the flour actually help. It's like mix them real well. You can add the egg in right here, right now if you like, but then again with the egg you cannot really mash out the tofu. So just mix them real well before you mix in the eggs and let the egg bind them together. So it's become quite sticky. Maybe I think I'm gonna use one egg, who knows, but let's just see how we go. Mix them real well and break down the tofu real well, because you want to get the flavor and everything in. People will use like gluten, 100% gluten flours, but I just don't want to do that. I just want to do like a mixture of everything. So just mix them real well. And if you're vegan, this is a stage where you can actually stuff them without the eggs. And I noticed that without the eggs, like I said, if you stuff them like this, you need to steam them first. And I just don't want to go into the steaming bit. So what I do is I want to stuff and then put in the stock and then cook them. So I want to cook them as quick as I can instead of like doing it. But you notice here the consistency of the stuffing is actually really ready, and it smells amazing with the yeast and the oh, it does smell really nice, and I think it's going to taste amazing. I feel like I'm going to have just one. You see the tofu there, there's still a bit of lump, but that's okay. You can put it in a blender if you want to, but I don't really want to. Really, I just want to make it quick, easy. So this will take roughly half an hour to prepare and cook, and it let you just one egg. Whoops. And just really work it. Like work it. And yes, I did wash my hand before I do this, okay, if you're curious. So there we go. If it's a little bit too wet and you notice that when you put into the stuffing, it's just not working, just adding a little bit more flour if you want, all-purpose flour. I use cell rising because I want them, when I cook them in as a stock stage, I want them to inflate it and suck in the flavor. So that's the reason why I use cell rising flours, but you can use any flour you want. Ooh. Okay, it looks like it's ready to stuff. I only use one egg, so there you go, one extra. So just stuff them in. Just really try to get the air out, and I know it's a bit of a pain, but just really need to get all the air out, and you know, just really pressing it, yeah. And when the noodle there inflated, it will make it look puffy and bigger. So in. And these won't take long to cook, probably like half an hour after this, and that should be ready to eat. Or the longer you cook these, the better it tastes, because the flavor of the bitter melon and everything just soak in from the fruit, the mushroom and the clove artichoke. It will taste really nice. Okay. And you just go in and do the whole thing, and then we work from there. it looked like the broth, like the soup is actually ready. So what I do is that I'm just going to turn on a low heat and then put all these little baby in slowly and not to boil, simply because that will destroying it. So just pop it in gently. Fix them as you go. This is the lazy way of stuffed bitter melon, okay? I'm so sorry, but it's just a way I like to cook them. And you know, if you turn them too strong of a heat on the stove, what it does is that it's just gonna come out and it wouldn't be tasty nice. Just press it in, put it down. I tend to put all the bigger piece down the bottom, simply because I want them to cook. It's okay. Yep, down. Down and down. And then you increase the heat as you go. And I do have some extra that I don't have enough stuffing for, so I'll pop it in with the globe artichoke. The idea is you want the flavor of the globe artichoke get into the soup, and it will cook at pretty much the same time. It will cook faster, but put some coriander in to get the flavor suck into the soup and into the bitter melon, and some chai. The sweetness of the chai will make it look better. So when you're about to serve these, and it will be ready, make sure that you close the lid. High heat first until you can hear it's boiling, and then after that reduce down to a low heat and leave it for like 20 minutes to let it cook properly. So there you go. Now we're just waiting for them to cook. Wow. It looked really good and smelled really nice. I'm gonna turn it down to very low heat and then just keep it going. So you're wondering what I'm going to do with the seeds. So what I do is that I just break them up individually and then roll them in pepper, in flour, sorry. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to do chili pepper, chili pepper of the bitter melon seed. Very similar to how I did the chili pepper seaweed. So it's the same method. So if you want to know how I did it, that's what I do to do it. Plenty of chili because I like it nice and hot. A bit of salt. Bit of mushroom seasoning. and black pepper. Don't crush them too fine, just crush them enough so that you can feel and taste all the flavor. Stir it up. And when it's like more like golden brown, you can turn it off and then you can put it on top of the, or you can put it in there and fry them. I don't know, but like just, oh, that's nice. Turn it off. Later on the top. So this is quite an oily sort of like dish, so make sure you use paper towel or something underneath. There you go. Quite yummy. It smells amazing. Let me pinch one. So let's have a taste with this is the deep fry with chili pepper. Have a bit of with rice. The crunchy, the spicy. When you chew on the sea, it just pop in your mouth like quite delicious. I don't know how to describe it. It's quite yummy. Let's try the stuffed fly pajama. It just looks yummy. So the clove artichoke and everything, it just looked nice and yummy, nice and soft. This is very, very hot. I'll go for that. Just try this topping. Nice and hot. The carrot it's just right, and this is the light one. I realized that the dark bitter melon is extremely bitter. So if you don't like bitter, might as well just add extra sugar and then season as you go. And adding black pepper would enhance the taste much better. So, the light green one is not as bitter, and it actually tastes quite nice. And the soup, wow, it's bitter, it's savory, and then it's creamy. Oh, it's really yummy. So that is for my dinner today. So I hope you enjoy my video. I do apologize, very long, but I hope you would try the recipe and use them. Thank you. Have a lovely day.